Hello, social media family, and welcome to my musings this week on the habit of the week. My name's Damien Reed, and I'm a holistic entrepreneur, mentor, and coach, an international keynote speaker, and an author. And once a week, I get on to my social media channels and just talk about the habit of the week that comes from my Amazon international best-selling book. So if you're following me on any of the social media channels, you can check us out on a daily basis on those channels to actually get some tips on how to implement the specific habit of the week. So the habit of the week this week happens to be habit number 12, and it is designed to have you focus on and stay in your zone of genius. And so how the habit goes is to list all of the tasks and things that you do that you're not good at and delegate them. So by doing that, by getting rid of all of the things that you're not good at, that gives you the opportunity really to focus on the things that you love, that you're passionate about, and that you're super, super amazing at. Where that term, just in case, you've probably heard that term zone of genius before, but it's actually created by a gentleman by the name of Gay Hendricks, and he authored a book called The Big Leap, and that's where that term zone of genius was actually coined. And what was really cool was when I came across that book, as I was writing, after I had designed the cover for my book, it turns out that Gay and I chose the same cover image for our book, which is, if you've seen or purchased my book, you'll know that the cover image is of a goldfish leaping out of the bowl. And so my book is called Cure Entrepreneurialities, 52 Habits to Earn the Freedom You Deserve. The idea being to get out of, the normal way that we operate, and then really be able to create a brand new way of living by operating inside of those habits. So the zone of genius, as it's defined, in case you're curious about, what is the zone of genius? The zone of genius is where what you're good at meets your purpose. So if you've ever been talking to someone about something that they're passionate about, you know that they change, in the moment that they're talking about it, you can watch something change about them. That's someone who's actually talking about something where they're operating inside of their zone of genius. And that's where you want to be. You want to be focusing most of your efforts and attention in there. What else do I want to say about this? You know what? The other thing that I want to say about this is that there's often a really high level of small business failure that we see out in the world. And one of the reasons that I think that this is so rampant, and I talk about this in the book, is the failure for entrepreneurs to delegate. And sometimes the thinking about delegation is, I can't delegate. I'm in a startup. I need to conserve my funds, etc. And it's really interesting because that thinking is fundamentally flawed and a little backwards. So let's take a common task that I come across with a lot of the entrepreneurs that I work with. Let's talk about bookkeeping. So if you were to say an entrepreneur spent 5 hours a month on bookkeeping, and you were to hire a bookkeeper to do that work, what you would find is that they're probably going to be more effective at it than you. So they're going to do it in a shorter period of time. And let's just say you just round it up and say you paid a bookkeeper $50 an hour. So if they were twice as effective as you, they're going to do that in 2.5 hours in the month, and you're going to spend 150 times 2, so $125 on that. But what you've gotten back is 5 hours of your time. And let's say you were someone who billed out your time at $150 an hour. Well, if you were to bill out those 5 hours there's $750 that you made in those 5 hours, minus the $125 it cost you for the bookkeeper, and you're still ahead $625 net for the month. And so there's the math that entrepreneurs don't tend to think through, is if I was to delegate and actually use that time effectively to work on sales, to work on things that are in my zone of genius, to work on the things that I do really well, what would that produce for the bottom line? And that's a really interesting thing to keep track of when you start to get into this world of delegation. Start to keep track of what does that contribute to your bottom line, because you'd be amazed at how much money you make by actually delegating. All right, so that's what I want to say about that. Let me think about anything else that I want to say. Yes. All right, so here's a telltale sign for you. Anytime you catch yourself saying, it would be faster if I ... that's a good place for you to look for places where you could delegate and actually have someone else be doing what they do best and you staying inside of your zone of genius. The faster than is often just a cover for not doing the work to delegate what you need to delegate so that you can stay inside of your zone of genius. All right, I think that's all I wanted to say about this. You know, the other thought that came into my mind, one of my business partners and I joke about this all the time, because we have a company that actually works to provide back-end services for small businesses, separate business from my core business. And you know what, the opposite of zone of genius is the zone of incompetence. So you can start to look for things in your zone of incompetence that you do that you really have no business doing, and start to get those assigned, delegated, outsourced, so that you can stay inside of your zone of genius. Well, I hope that this inspires you to start to consider some of the tasks that you do that you're not good at, and it starts to have you contemplate, you know, what is your zone of genius? What is the thing that you should be focusing most of your time on? Thanks for tuning in to this particular episode of The Habit of the Week. I would love to have you follow me if you've come across this on one of the channels. Follow me on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter, whatever your social media channel is of choice. And of course, if you're an entrepreneur and you're experiencing difficulty in this area or any other area of your life, including your business, reach out to me. I'd be happy to chat with you and see what would make sense to support you, either myself or another colleague of mine, in really creating and living what is your freedom lifestyle. Thanks again for tuning in, and we'll see you again in the near future. Bye for now.